You're all set, Bridget.
Awesome, thank you. Alrighty. Get set up here. So thank you guys for joining me today. If you have not met me in person yet, my name is Bridget Harris, and I'm the video production coordinator at the College of Business. And today we're just gonna talk about some video tips, video kits, Vidgrid basics, Zoom basics, and just overall how to make your content very pleasing to the eye and to the ear. So we'll just start off with the basics of the tips. So location, we always have to think about location when we are about to record. So like your desk or in a quiet space, any place that you feel comfortable in, of course. Then we have preparation, as Tanya mentioned, always be prepared. You wanna have a plan. If you don't, things are gonna be scattered and it's gonna be hard for your students to follow along, just like you present in class, in person. And then we have presentation. So how you look, what you do. Like I'm using my hands, that's totally okay, as long as I'm not patting myself. So just looking presentable, professional, yet overall we want to be conversational because we don't want our students to feel overpowered or anything. You want it to be just a nice meet and greet, almost. So video tips, we also go into the location of talking about lighting. So as we're at home, we have windows, we have lamps, we have noises, air vents. For me, I have a cat, sometimes meows, but we're gonna focus on lighting for now. Background noise, my cat, or the air vents, and then depth of field. As you can see with Zoom, currently I'm using a backdrop. But if you do not prefer to use a backdrop, I always recommend not using just a wall behind you. Try to find a nice area where you can find some depth behind you. And we'll look at a few examples as we go on throughout this PowerPoint. So a little bit more about lighting. Like I mentioned before, windows and lamps, they're everywhere in your home or wherever you record, most generally. You want to try to avoid bright backgrounds. So avoid having the window behind you or the lamp behind you. And we'll take a closer look at that soon. So record facing the window. And then always remember your computer or your webcam usually has an auto iris. So depending on how much light you have will determine your overall picture. So always remember your computer's camera is like your eye. When you go outside, your eyes adjust. When you come back inside from a long walk or such outside, when the sun is really bright, your eyes adjust again. So even light equals good light. So as you can see, I have some pretty good even light. And I'll show you also as we keep on going how to get that good look. So lighting examples. So this is a good example of what happens when you record with a window or a lamp behind you. Absolutely not good, right? The auto exposure and everything is all confused and it's like, I don't know what I want to focus on. And so we always want to remember not to have windows or anything that's bright light behind us. It'll wash us out. So this goofy guy, he shows you an example of your face seeing the window. So the window is in front of you now instead of behind you. Notice how he's taking advantage of that natural light, almost as if he has his own little key light. So that's a good thing. You want to have the light towards you. Another way to look at this is always remember you are the source in your video. You are the highlight. And so you always want to make sure that you are known in the picture. And you want to be the one that is overly known as the subject. So when you look at it, you don't want to be like, oh, there's a bright window. You want to be like, oh, there I am. So background noise, as I mentioned before, air vents. Try to turn off your air vent if possible, or try to find a location where you're not right by it. I know that's really hard, especially in the summer and even in the winter for us, but always try to not position yourself right underneath them when in doubt. Closed door with a sign. So as of right now, we're all working from home. I have my husband literally right over in the other room. And so either making it known like, hey, I'm about to record, or just putting a simple note on like the door saying, hey, I'm recording, please be quiet, or please save your message for later. And then we have our microphones, and we'll go more in depth on those later on as well. With video, audio is 100% the most important part of a video. The whole point of video is to get information across, and if your audio is not working, it sort of defeats the purpose. So we want to make sure we really focus on that. A microphone that will connect to your computer via headphone jack or a USB. We have both options. Right now we have mostly USB microphones, which I'll show you soon, I promise. So as we go on with the microphones, it can be a little bit tricky. You might have to adjust your computer audio settings, but in this PowerPoint, I promise I will help you out with as many steps as possible to help you make this an easy process. So we have depth of field. Again, remember rule of thirds. So as you look at my video picture, you can see that I'm in center. And if you divide this picture up, so there's like a square in the middle, I am in the center, my shoulders line up with that middle line. Trust me, it'll make sense. Hold on. So headroom, notice I don't have too much space in between. On the top rim of my picture, I have just a little bit of space. If you want to see other examples, you can always watch the news. They always make sure that they have good headroom, especially like Good Morning America, or also on like 10/11, their Good Morning show. Those are great examples of finding out what good video looks like. And then laptop position. So you want to make sure that your webcam is eye level, because remember, your webcam is your audience. It's your student, your students. And so always remember to keep that eye level. If you need to reposition it or something to help you out, do whatever you can. It's always best to be a little bit further away from your laptop or webcam or whatever camera source you have, because if I get too close, then it's a little up and personal. But if I'm just a nice like 2 to 3 feet away, it's a very conversational, not overpowering position. One way to raise your laptop if you have a non-movable webcam is just putting books underneath your laptop to make it higher. Just a simple step. So rule of thirds, as I promised, this is an example of what I was talking about. The middle box in the middle right there, as his nose hits the first horizontal line, and then his collarbone, the second one. And there's the headroom. So you see they have great headroom here, not right at the brim and not too low. And then this shows your rule of thirds a little bit better. This is really intense video language. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. But just always remember, you want to be in the center. You want to be the center of attention. Depth of field, again, open and clean background. So if you have any distractions, you want to avoid those as much as possible. And eye contact, again, look at your webcam, look at your PowerPoint, and always return back to your webcam. You want to look at your students. So video kits. So there's been a lot of talk about these video kits, and they're pretty cool, I'd have to say. They come with a bag to put your webcam, your light, and your microphone in. And as you can see in the one picture, you have the light with the clip and then the microphone, which I'm currently using right now. And then I've included the webcam that we currently have available for checkout, or you could purchase also. As we go through, the video kit has the HD high definition webcam. So always, excuse me, always make sure your webcam is high definition. A good way to think about this is like your television screen. You obviously want the best TV when you go buy one. So you want a high definition or 4K. 4K is a little too extreme right now. It takes up a lot of space, but HD is a great start. If you have standard definition, always check with IT to see if you can upgrade to high definition. High definition is also known as 1080p. And it's also 16 by 9. Lighting, that LED smartphone light, and then the light mount clip, you can use it as a clip or a mount. As you noticed in the photo, it was used as a mount. That's a great asset to your video. And then the audio, the lav, and then the background. So in that video, you did not see the background kit. It's a reversible remote background that's black and white, and it comes with a tripod stand. And also a bag would go with it as well. So here's the lighting, a little bit more in depth. You can see that it's a USB light, so it charges through USB, or you can keep it plugged in with USB at all times. According to the comments, it's about 70 minutes on full charge, which is actually pretty good, a whole hour and 10 minutes. But when in doubt, if you know you're going to be talking for a very long time and you're not sure if it's fully charged, you can always just leave it plugged in with USB, your power source. As you can see on the side, there's the dimmer, just like you dim lights in your house, and then you have the on and off switch. When you dim, it's never going to fully go black. It's always just going to go to the light dim. And then as you can see in the picture in the middle, the light is on the mount, on the clip. Currently, I'm using the clip on my screen because my screen is heavier and it's not as flimsy and thin. But I highly recommend, if your laptop or your monitor screen is not strong enough, to definitely use it as a mount. Either way will work great, and you'll still have a good even light. Just you'll have to adjust it a little bit. So let me real quick go to my video here. And I'm gonna turn off my virtual background so I can show you a few examples. And see, now you know why I had a virtual background, because I have a really busy background. So on the light, I currently have it on as the lowest setting. There's the dim, and here's the on and off. Oop, I apologize. Now, I'm gonna put it back on my screen, and you're gonna notice the difference when I turn it off. So I do have a window behind me, naughty, right? But I had a backdrop, so it took away from the light of the window. But when I turn on this light, you're gonna notice a huge difference of high quality video. Now, the brightness of the window behind me is pretty bright, right? So I sort of wanted to take the brightness of the window away. So I bring my light up higher on the dimmer, and that takes the auto iris. Remember the computer camera, the webcam has an auto iris. It catches that light rather than your background light of your window. So I am now brighter than the window, but it's auto iris, so it adjusts evenly on me. So just always remember that if you can't avoid having a window behind you, you can always solve this problem by using a bright light on your smartphone LED light. Do keep in mind though that when the light is really bright, it can be sort of, can cause you to be sort of dizzy, because of course you have like the sun in your eyes, if you want to think of it that way. So we'll dim that back down to the normal light. Usually I have it on like the lowest setting possible, because you don't want to be too bright unless you have a window behind you. With the Lav microphone, so currently I have the Lav microphone on. It's hooked onto my shirt. Oh, and I just touched it, so you probably heard that, but it's clipped onto my shirt. Notice I'm not too worried here with the cord. If you really want to, you can put the cord through your shirt and hide it and then plug it in. But for these, I think it's okay if you just clip it on your shirt and call it good. As you can see in that one clip, it's just the normal clip that I usually use for the studio's recordings. And then it's also a USB input. The thing about the microphone though is that you have to plug it in order for it to work. It doesn't have a battery on it. And then I'm going to show you an example of without the microphone. So I'm just going to go to my computer speaker input. And it should be changed. So you can hear the difference. There's more of an echo. You can hear the background noise. It's quite a switch. So since we definitely want to avoid that kind of audio, which isn't bad, but we could do better, I'm going to go back to the phone. And again, you'll hear that difference. So continuing on, here's the reversible black-white background kit. As you can see, it comes with a stand for the kit and the Velcro attachment. We've noticed that it sort of works better if you do it horizontally, which you can easily do by following these steps that Davis has provided through photos, by detaching the clip and then putting it on the background. If you need any help with this before you purchase or pick up your kit or check out, just let us know and we're more than happy to show you. We're thinking about including some laminated directions in the kits for you guys, so it's easier for you to catch on to these things. Video kit checkout. So kit number 1 has an iPad and an Apple Pencil and video kit items, and then kit 2 and 3 just have the video kit items. The iPad and the Apple Pencil technically are its own separate thing if you just want the video kit. So overall, we have 3 kits available for checkout. And if you're interested in checking out, always contact me or Davis, and we are more than happy to help you with that process. The video kit checkout sessions. So we've decided, we talked to Tanya, on 2-week checkout sessions, depending on availability of checkout or re-checkout. So your 2-week session is coming to an end. You decide that you still need the video kit, feel free to contact us, especially IT, since they will have the overall schedule, and I will soon be able to check that schedule as well to see if that kit or one of the other kits is available for you to check out another 2-week session, or as the time that you need within that 2-week period. Again, here are all of the video kit items. I just put these on here so it's easy for you to access and take a deeper look at them later on. As you can see, they are all links, so they take you straight to the B&H page. And there's the webcam, the background kit, and the tripod bag. And then here's more of a written out list. So going back to video tips, preparation, as Tanya mentioned, always be prepared. Just a few things from me. Write a script. Always know what you're going to talk about. Have a beginning, middle, and end. So always introduce yourself, introduce the course video. Say, today we're going to be talking about debt. And then talk about your content, and then do your closing remarks as of thank you for joining me today with this video. Or thank you, and then you just end your video. Next, practice your script. That's a given, right? You never want to jump into something and not practice. Practice makes perfect also. And then bullet point cheat sheet. So going back to your script, do not use your script as your guideline. You want a bullet point check sheet, because first of all, you're going to find yourself reading your script and then not communicating with your students by looking at the webcam. And then you're going to find yourself getting lost as you go along, unless you highlight things throughout your script in bullet point, where it's easy to catch your eye on. But I always recommend bullet points. I myself even made a bullet point, a little sticky note, that's all you need. And it just makes things a lot easier and sort of gives you a peace of mind that you can look back. Oh, I'm going to talk about Vidgrid next, that kind of thing. Or something that you just absolutely always have difficulty remembering whenever you practice. Another video tip, so presentation, professional wardrobe. I know I didn't do the best with a professional wardrobe today. I went with a classic, nice black tee, but also it's a nice dark color. It doesn't overexpose. It doesn't draw the eye to my clothing. It's not a busy design. Facial expressions, tone of voice. I'm not talking like this. I'm not smiling. Like, that's obviously not what we want to do when we present our information. We want to be excited about it. We want to be point blank. We want to show that we care about what we're talking about and teaching. So going along, and then of course, eye contact. And you're going to notice I'm going to mention eye contact a lot because it does take practice to constantly always look back at the webcam. Presentation, so going in with professional wardrobe, facial expressions, tone of voice. If you're smiling, you can hear it. Your tone of voice goes up. And we all know if we are happy, our viewers are more likely to be happy as well. Eye contact again. Don't forget to blink though. Hopefully I've been blinking. All right, so on to Vidgrid. I know we're getting short on time here. That's a lot of content. So we'll just start off with the basics, of course, which I know you guys know Vidgrid and Zoom very well. Basically, we just start with opening our slideshow settings on our PowerPoint presentation. We choose the setup, show settings, choose full screen. If you prefer individual browser like I'm using today, you're more than welcome to. It's sort of your preference. And then you can click OK, and you save your PowerPoint file, and then you minimize your PowerPoint application. This is basically my steps as I go through the whole entire process of setting up Vidgrid. So just remember as you go through, you're going to go back to PowerPoint eventually. Microphone. So I'm going to check my microphone. I'm going to make sure that it is connected to Vidgrid. Even though your microphone is synced on your computer settings, that doesn't mean that Vidgrid has picked it up. So always check your microphone. A good way to also check your microphone is checking your audio settings on your computer, which I mentioned before. This is a great video for Windows PC, since it can be sort of difficult on these computers to check your microphone audio levels. All you have to do is watch 40 seconds to a minute 13, and it shows you all the steps. I have also provided the steps here on the PowerPoint. So you go to the control panel, hardware and sound, click on sound, recording, choose your microphone, go to the levels, and then adjust your microphone input levels. Usually we found that 45 to 50 is a good area to put your levels at. Always be sure to check your levels and look at the green bars that are going by on your computer. We do not want them in the red because that means you're peaking and you're going to be, your audio is going to sound tinny and just absolutely not what you want. As I mentioned, no red peaks, so no red, all green. Macintosh microphones, of course, Macintosh and Windows PC are different. And so here are the steps for Macintosh, which I believe most of you guys have PC Windows. For Mac, you want 70 to 85% or in between the middle of your audio setting bar. And then again, there should be no peaking levels. Webcam icon, another thing to check before you start recording. Always check your webcam. Make sure your webcam isn't being used by another application or software. For instance, if I opened up Vidgrid right now, my webcam would not sync on Vidgrid. So just always remember that you need to have one application open or the other closed. Choose your preferred HD webcam, and then make sure your webcam is placed at eye level, as we mentioned before in the steps. Adjust it, add books, make sure the lighting is even, and then also sit in front of a window or a lamp if possible. And then use your LED smartphone light. So we have slideshow settings, and with the slideshow settings, we're gonna go ahead and play start. We bring our PowerPoint back up, and we're going to have to make sure that we click on the PowerPoint to proceed, especially if we have other applications open. And then we have our Vidgrid PowerPoint present. So as you notice, there is usually a gray little settings bar on your Vidgrid. You can easily remove this by using the Shift-Alt-M hotkey, and then you just use the hotkeys Shift-Alt-R for recording. Just always remember R for recording, stop and pause, or resume, and then stop recording, which would be Shift-Alt-D. So you stop recording, you're done. D for done. Vidgrid webcam point of view. Again, the point of view would be your students. Always be sure to look at your students when you're presenting. Look at your PowerPoint, go back to your webcam. Click on the webcam icon, move and adjust your webcam where you want it on your PowerPoint. Just make sure that you don't hide any of your content with your webcam. So it's good to go through all your slides to double check. Video files. So once you're done, your video will always be saved on the Vidgrid library. But if you would like, you can always go to your settings before you record and save your video on your computer. When you label your recording at the end, always remember that the file on your computer is not going to be labeled the same. So you're going to have to relabel it. But it's pretty nice that they allow you to save your videos on both platforms. And then Zoom, which we're using right now. So with Zoom, it's pretty much just the same as Vidgrid, just a few different aspects to it. You go to your audio, make sure that you have the correct microphone. Then you go to your microphone, your audio settings, sorry, and you go and you click automatically adjust your microphone. So it will automatically stop you from peaking if for some reason you start giggling or laughing or make a loud noise in the background. It won't be overexposed to the full extent, but we still want to go to our computer settings and adjust those. So we have our audio icon, select prefer, and then automatically adjust. Zoom video, so we have our webcam icon, and we want to click on that, make sure it's turned on. We go to the video settings, just like audio, but for video, and we make sure that it is 16:9, and we enable HD. So even though you have an HD webcam, you're still going to have to go into those settings and automatically click on those. The good news is usually once you do that, you don't have to go back and change that. The Zoom usually saves all those settings for you. And then again, within these settings, you can see that there's an option of virtual background, and that's where you can change your background, which is a very fun feature. Record. So of course, we want to make sure we can record our content. So clicking record, we can then choose to record on the computer or the cloud. If you have a really long lecture, I highly recommend the cloud. If you have a very short lecture, the computer is just fine. Just always remember that you have to have space on your computer in order to have that file convert perfectly onto your computer. And it's nice because with cloud, you can always just get a link through your email and then you go to it and then download it. So you can always double check and make sure you know where you're going to put it. And then instead of clicking the record button to stop it, you can also just do leave. So, and then meeting for all, since you will be the host of the video, since you're in charge of it. So once you leave, it will automatically start converting your recording. It will then direct you to your recording in your video file folder. And then it will also, if you record on the cloud, it will email you a link to that cloud video file, which is very nice of Zoom to do, because nothing's worse when you record and you can't find a file. So on this slide, I've included some additional links that we have, and I'm sure you've probably looked at in the past. And then also all the contact information of Tanya, Davis, and I, and then information technology services. For the information technology services, I've included the College of Business faculty and staff resource page. This is a good page to go to, since that gives you all the options of video and just requests for IT. And so you have all those links in one spot. I noticed that there are some questions in the chat, possibly. Eric, it looks like you've been following this a little bit better than I have. I apologize, guys.
Yeah, I don't think we have any outstanding questions. There was some, I put some resources in about how to get started with Vidgrid, since you're kind of going through some of the more advanced how-tos to make a good video. Anybody who hasn't used Vidgrid before, I wanted to put in a couple resources for where people could get started. And then obviously they might later on want to review what you've presented here. That recording will be posted as well.
Perfect, thank you. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them now in chat, or you can even ask them over video.
There was one question that came up in a private chat message about checkout for the camera kits. What's the time frame on checkout? Could someone check one out for an entire semester, or is it intended to be like a 1 month checkout period? What's that look like?
Yeah, so
I could have been on that one. So we've got them available for 2-week blocks, but if you have it for 2 weeks and nobody else has requested it, you can renew it for another 2 weeks. So if you needed to use it longer than that, as long as nobody else has requested it, that's okay. The only thing we don't want to do is have it where it just disappears for a whole semester and nobody else can use it. So.
Yep, and I just put the slide up of the 2-week checkout session, and this PowerPoint is included with Tanya's PowerPoint and is also uploaded on the course development page for the overall online learning. So,
sorry, that's probably on me. I expect you said that and I just missed it entirely.
Oh, you're fine. I went through a lot of content, so it's easy to miss something. That's why we got the PowerPoint slides to look at later. So, does anybody else have any other questions? Again, the PowerPoint slides will be available for everyone. I know it's a lot to ingest, and basically just always remember to take time to practice and set up your entire video production studio at your home and test out what works best for you. It looks like we have to integrate Vidgrid with Zoom. It's asking for system admin access. How do we do it?
So we actually can't do that. Even though Vidgrid and Zoom have an integration at the University of Nebraska, we do not have the ability to do the integration. It has something to do with how the licenses are paid for each one of them. And so you wouldn't be able to actually integrate them. That's why it's telling you that system admin note.
Thank you, Tanya.
You could save the Zoom recording locally to your computer and then pretty quickly upload it to Vidgrid. And there's a nice LTI, a connection in Canvas that lets you access Vidgrid, so you can get the recording local, go to the Canvas page where you're wanting to share it, and then do it in Canvas really quickly in one space.
And that document that I shared on how to use Google or Canvas, Zoom, and Vidgrid together has a walkthrough of how to set up a Canvas assignment using the Vidgrid integration. All right. Thank you, everybody, for your participation. Bridget, thank you for sharing the information about setting up for video. And if anybody has any follow-up questions, feel free to send us an email, and we will get the recordings posted so you can go back and review any of the things we've talked about today if you missed them. So thank you very much.